privilege to be here, and please allow me to stand on the protocols already established. It's not as easy to be talking about a very controversial subject. I had to preempt my pastor. We'll talk about our judgment about the work that we're doing in as far as termination of pregnancy is concerned. Why? Because you do not then want to be seen in a wrong light. So my name is Isheanesu Chirisa. I am the National Director with Women and Law in Southern Africa. I am a lawyer who's very passionate about women health rights issues. So today, as WILSA, our presentation is going to be in two parts. I'll be co-presenting with Bianca. Bianca Mahere is our senior legal advisor at WILSA. I will talk about Medical Services Bill, and she'll talk about the Termination of Pregnancy Act, but specifically zoning into our recent judgment. I think some of you may have come across the judgment. We have seen a lot of narrative distortions around what we're trying to do on that law. So I just want to pose a question. How many of us have heard about the Medical Services Bill? Okay. We have 5. I'm not so sure what's the total number. Okay, fine. How many of us have an interaction, a closer interaction with the bill, the Medical Services Bill? Parliament have had public hearings so far. I think they've had public hearings. So I think the relevant committee is now on the stage of preparing the report. How many of us have had a closer interaction with it? Okay, just one person. It's more than one. Okay, how many of us have had a closer interaction with the bill? Okay, 3 people. Okay. This is very important to all of us. Yes, we do have MPs, but it's our citizen responsibility to be as involved as possible. If you go into the Constitution, Section 141, it provides for public participation into parliament processes. Hey, I'm at 2000. Why are we not getting involved in these issues? Like parliament processes, when you hear their public hearings, why are we not engaging parliament? This is nothing political, this is nothing party issues. This is about citizen engagement and citizen responsibility. I will ask again, guys, why are we not getting involved? Sorry, that mean to row. Okay, sorry, maybe if we can have a mic. Yes. Oh, sorry, we don't have a roving mic. Oh, okay, he's getting it. Okay, fine. All right.
Thank you. Sometimes we don't know where these events are taking place at community level. And from experience, from the feedback that we get from the women on the ground, sometimes they just say that it's done so abruptly, so quickly, it's confusing. They cannot even participate meaningfully. And also us talking on behalf of network of women living with HIV, sometimes we feel we are not empowered enough to interrogate what we should put in and what we should interrogate with the parliamentarians, the policymakers at that level.
Okay.
We need empowerment in that area.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, that's fine. It's good we do have parliament here. Yes. Doc?
I was just going to say, the initial public hearings for the bill was done when I was the chairperson.
Yes.
And it was well, the public hearings were well attended, not by technocrats, but by the ordinary woman in the village. Everywhere we went, the places were full of people. And some of the issues that it then comes down to mothers will be arrested, the parents will take their children. So because of that, they came out of their homes to come and make sure that they squat at
Yes.
because of that, it's their
Yeah,
right.
yeah, sure.
It's their right.
Yeah.
So it's not as if the bill was not actually people don't know anything about it. These ones thought that they're clever, they read online. So you're asking the wrong people.
Okay.
They interacted but online. They didn't go to public hearings where they could share with the community. Because if you have 100 people
Yes.
who all have come for one thing, I'll give the very good example, it's the marriage bill. Everybody was interested in making sure that they
This-
remove
The small house issue,
the
yes.
small house issue. In the process, you know what happened? Some of us settled under them. With what? We refused the weapon transmission. Because all of you everywhere were not interested in debating about other issues.
Yeah.
You are demobilized yourselves to go and destroy one thing, which is what happened at public hearings.
Okay. Oh, no, no, that's fine. It's a very good point and quite instructing. Maybe I'll go on with my presentation. Why am I emphasizing on this? Like what she's saying, the law is made, never mind our absence. And the moment it comes a law, we are all obligated to observe. And it will affect us either positive or negative. So it's very important that we also take part of it. And as women and law in Southern Africa, what we've been doing, we have also been trying to increase the presence, voice, and participation of women in public hearings. We have done with students from University of Zimbabwe. We have also done with a number of women from Mavuku, Tafara, and Epworth. Fine, our concentration could be very limited in comparison to the population of Zimbabwe. But I am happy to say that the feedback that we received from the committee has been very positive. They actually commended us for trying to mobilize people to be engaged. So the medical services bill, it's still undergoing parliament process. And I understand even an individual, you can write a letter to the clerk and make your own submissions. So far, the engagement that we have had with the committee, it looks like the committee is very engaging and they are there to listen. So let's just do what we can. The Medical Services is a bill that seeks to amend the Medical Services Act. There is an act which is called Medical Services Act, and the amendment process is to give effect to the provisions of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. She spoke about our constitution being very progressive, being very expansive, and importantly, introducing a new set of rights. For instance, we have children's rights, we have sexual reproductive health rights, we do have women's rights. We actually have a section that elaborates on women and children's rights. Why is there particular elaboration for particular rights or particular groups? Is the realization of the marginalization or the historic problems that were there before. And now we have a particular mentioning of sexual reproductive health rights. So this bill comes with a particular intention to give effect to certain things that are mentioned in the Constitution that are not supported through a number of pieces of legislation. For instance, the reproductive health rights. So I think that's the overarching objective of the bill. And then I'll speak to a number of observations that we have made, which we feel those areas, as we observed, require further strengthening. For the first time in the history of the legislation, there is the mention of reproductive health rights. The section, the definition is contained in the definition section. It provides for reproductive health care, which reproductive health care is also provided for as a right in the Constitution. However, we have noted that the definition as it stands in the bill, when we're talking of a bill, it's a law in the process of making, or it's a law, it's not yet ripe. So there is room for, strengthening, room for review, which is what we're doing. So we feel that the reproductive health care as defined in the bill could be strengthened, probably specifically looking at the health, reproductive health care definition given by the World Health Organization, which define reproductive health in a more comprehensive way. Of course, I will not talk about the definition and the nitty-gritties because of time. So we put it to the Parliament Portfolio Committee on Health to say, may you look further into this definition. And then we also went to clause 3, which spoke of treatment and care of people and persons under arrest and detention. We felt that there is need to specifically looking at women who are in detention, living with their children. I think we all know that there are a lot of women who are together with their babies or children in detention. The bill does not give particular attention to the emerging health issues of children who are incarcerated, of course, in courts together with their mothers. So we are still urging the committee to look at the prison physical environment, food availability, its adequate quality and nutritional value, so that even their healthy issues are also taken into fact. We also looked at clause section, which is providing for prohibition against the refusal of emergency medical services. So what is termed emergency medical service has been defined, but as women movement, we felt that it should be broadened to include women who then require medical attention as a result of sexual violence. Sexual violence, we're talking of rape, we're talking of all those related abuses. And we are saying that women should immediately access medical services when they need. And we refer to the case of Mapingure. This was a very topical and classical case where a woman was raped. When they wanted to seek for legal termination of the pregnancy, it took, almost a whole year until the child was born. And we are urging the committee as well as the ministry to consider such instances as emergency medical treatment kind of scenario, so that when one wants to have termination of pregnancy, they have access to it. So it's kind of an encouragement to expand what is already provided under the law. We also looked at clause 8D. Clause 8D is looking at circumstances where children could then be stopped from seeking medical services. This section, we felt it's very narrow in the sense that it's just looking at instances where children can just be stopped. It's not even looking at the realities where women find themselves in. I think we are all aware of the New Canaan issue, where women were held hostage, women were prohibited from accessing medical services, including maternal health care, by a male. So the bill as it comes out is just looking at minors. It's not looking at some of the harmful cultural practices, some of the religious some of the religious harmful practices. For instance, religious leaders, through their religious beliefs and religious values, often stop women from seeking different types of medical services, especially maternal health care. So we felt that clause should be expanded to reflect the spirit and letter of the Maputo Protocol. Maputo Protocol is kind of our constitution when it comes to women health, rather women rights in Africa. So we urge the committee to be more attentive to that. And then on clause 10, we urged the minister who has been given powers to make regulations to say that when he's making regulations, you should look at other vulnerable groups that are not currently included, which groups do have special needs that relate to maternal health, to sexual reproductive health, and access to health care as a must. For instance, currently the clause provides for war veterans, it provides for the elderly, but what about women living in rural areas? What about children who are victims of child marriages? What about children who are maybe victims of fistula? What about even people living with albinism? It's not considered as a special need, but these are real issues that are already obtaining as we speak. So we urged the minister and the portfolio committee to broaden that kind of provision to include everyone who's vulnerable and cannot immediately access medical services. We also urged the minister, there is room for the minister to make a discretion, and we then were appealing to say that the discretion should not be given to the minister. Rather, it should be peremptory or mandatory, to say the minister is compelled to make these regulations. Why? Because when a piece of law is made with a lot of discretion, it may not really then see to it that the objectives are met. So we are kindly urging them to consider that the minister is compelled within a reasonable time to put up regulations. Regulations then give the administrative support that's needed in a legislation. And then we also spoke of how does one become eligible for free health services in public health establishments. We noted that there were a number of special groups that were recommended, but we have noted the absence of pregnant women and lactating mothers and children under the age of 5. We feel these are vulnerable groups. We also noted women and girls without fixed abode. For instance, we have noted the Ministry of Health, they've been doing a lot of vaccinations around HPV in schools. But what about the girls that are living in the streets? Have we ever seen a deliberate attention to give focus to those girls that are living in the streets? We're now talking of prevention of cancer through introducing a lot of vaccines in young girls. But what about those that have always been in streets? There is no focus. We also urged the ministry to look at the peculiarities of women that are living in rural areas and in marginalized areas. I'm happy the MP from Binga spoke about some of the cultural practices that are still peculiar in his area. So we feel those cultural practices also bring peculiar complications in as far as sexual reproductive health rights are concerned, in as far as women health issues are concerned in general. So we are saying to the committee and the ministry, please pay particular attention to particular groups. Last but not least, we said the Medical Services Bill is a very commendable piece of legislation, as it includes a number of progressive amendments in as far as realization of women health rights are concerned, also as is enshrined in the Constitution, and specifically for the first time, an attempt to define reproductive health care. But there is room for further strengthening. Bianca, may you come and talk about the judgment? We are just going to give you a judgment. It's a landmark judgment. I think we received it last week. No, I'm just worried about time. Sorry, I've taken longer. So we're just going to run through our judgment. Thank you.